UK shoppers beware, 9 tin tomato brands to avoid in 2026 introduction. The tin in your cupboard isn't always what it seems. Tin tomatoes are a staple in British kitchens. From a comforting spaghetti bolognese on a rainy Tuesday evening to a rich curry bubbling away on a Sunday afternoon, they form the base of countless meals across the UK. Affordable, convenient, and long-lasting, they seem like one of the safest buys in any supermarket aisle. But in 2026, shoppers are becoming more aware than ever that not all store cupboard essentials are created equal. Behind the bright labels and Italian-style promises, some tin tomato brands fall short on quality, flavor, texture, and even ethical sourcing. While many options on the shelves remain excellent value, others are watery, overly acidic, filled with broken pieces, or packed with unnecessary additives. This in-depth guide explores 9 types of tin tomato brands UK shoppers may want to avoid in 2026, not to cause panic, but to help you make smarter, tastier, and better value choices. Why tin tomato quality matters? You might wonder, it's just tomatoes in a tin, how bad can it be? The answer lies in 4 key areas. Taste: poor quality tomatoes can taste metallic, sour, or bland. Texture: mushy, broken down tomatoes can ruin sauces. Liquid ratio: excess watery juice means less actual tomato. Processing: sourcing: lower standards can affect flavor and sustainability. Since tomatoes are often the base of a dish, weak ingredients lead to weak results. 1. The watery budget range that promises great value. Budget supermarket-owned brands can be brilliant, but some ultra-cheap tins contain too much thin tomato juice, pale, underripe tomatoes, broken fragments instead of whole pieces. When cooked down, they require extra simmering time just to thicken properly. The result? A sauce that lacks richness and depth. Why avoid? You may save 20–30p per tin, but you'll use more time and energy reducing it, and possibly more tomato puree to compensate. 2. The Italian-style label that isn't actually Italian. Many tins use Italian flags, countryside imagery, and words like Roma-style or Mediterranean recipe. However, tomatoes may not be grown in Italy. They may be processed elsewhere. The Italian label may simply refer to the recipe style. True Italian-grown tomatoes, especially from reputable regions, often have better sweetness and balanced acidity due to climate and soil. Why avoid? If authenticity matters to you, vague marketing can be misleading. 3. The overly acidic brand that ruins your sauce. Some brands harvest tomatoes too early. Underripe tomatoes contain higher acidity, lack natural sweetness, taste sharp. Even after cooking, you might find yourself adding sugar to balance the flavor, which defeats the point of buying good quality tomatoes in the first place. Why avoid? Constantly adjusting seasoning to correct acidity becomes frustrating and unnecessary. 4. The additive-heavy option. A good tin of tomatoes should contain tomatoes, tomato juice, possibly a little citric acid. That's it. However, some cheaper brands include artificial flavor enhancers, added calcium chloride for firmness, unnecessary preservatives. While not dangerous, they alter taste and texture. Why avoid? Minimal ingredients usually mean better flavor and better quality produce. 5. The premium tin. That's all packaging, no substance, fancy packaging. Matte labels. Rustic fonts. Some premium-priced brands charge nearly double the standard price, yet inside, the tomato quality is no better than mid-range alternatives. You're paying for branding rather than flavor. Why avoid? High price does not automatically equal high quality. 6. The mushy whole tomatoes. Whole peeled tomatoes should hold their shape. When crushed, they should feel meaty and thick. Poor quality brands often overprocessed tomatoes use damaged fruit, produce a mushy, grainy texture. This affects dishes where texture matters, such as shakshuka slow-cooked. Ragu homemade pizza sauce. Why avoid? Texture is as important as flavor in many dishes. 7. The inconsistent batch brand. Some brands taste fine one week and disappointing the next. This often signals inconsistent sourcing, poor quality control, mixed harvest origins. Consistency is essential when you rely on a product regularly. Why avoid? You shouldn't have to gamble each time you cook. 8. The excessively sweet option. Some manufacturers add sugar to compensate for low-quality tomatoes. While sweetness balances acidity naturally, added sugar can mask poor ingredients, create an artificial taste, burn easily when reduced. Why avoid? Good tomatoes should be naturally sweet without added sugar. 9. the metallic tasting tin. Occasionally, shoppers report a metallic aftertaste. This can happen due to lining issues inside the tin, long storage periods, poor acidity balance. Reacting with metal, though rare, it's unpleasant and ruins a dish instantly. Why avoid metallic flavor is impossible to correct once cooked. What good tin tomatoes should be like. Instead of focusing only on what to avoid, here's what to look for: deep red color, thick, rich juice, balanced sweet acid flavor, minimal ingredients, firm but tender texture. When you open a quality tin, you'll notice a fresh tomato aroma rather than a sharp acidic smell. The 2026 shopper trend: reading labels more carefully. UK consumers in 2026 are more ingredient aware than ever. Shoppers are now checking origin labels, comparing ingredient lists, reading online reviews, choosing quality over quantity. Food inflation has made people more cautious, and rightly so. No one wants to waste money on disappointing ingredients. The cost versus quality debate: is it worth spending more? Sometimes, yes. Spending an extra 40–60p per tin on a higher quality product can improve flavor, dramatically reduce cooking time, eliminate need for added sugar or puree, elevate simple dishes. When tomatoes are the base of your recipe, quality matters more. How to test a tin tomato brand at home. If you're unsure about your usual brand, try this simple test: open the tin. Smell it immediately. Spoon a small amount into a bowl. Taste it plain, uncooked. Ask yourself, is it naturally sweet? Is it overly sour? Is the liquid watery? Are the tomatoes intact or broken? The difference between average and excellent is surprisingly clear. Common myths about tin tomatoes: they are all the same. False. Growing region, ripeness, and processing make a huge difference. Fresh tomatoes are always better, not necessarily. In the UK climate, fresh supermarket tomatoes can be bland outside summer months. High-quality tin tomatoes are often superior. Cheapest means best value, only if quality meets expectations. Otherwise, it's false economy. Why some brands decline over time. Even previously reliable brands can decline due to cost-cutting measures, ingredient sourcing changes, inflation pressures, production relocation. That's why staying aware matters. The environmental factor beyond flavor: consider recyclable packaging, sustainable farming practices, ethical sourcing. Many UK shoppers now prefer brands that prioritize environmental responsibility. Cooking impact: why it changes everything. Poor quality tomatoes affect pasta sauces, soups, stews, curries, chili con carne casseroles. Watery tomatoes dilute flavor. Overly acidic tomatoes require correction. Bland tomatoes make meals forgettable. Good tomatoes transform simple ingredients into rich, comforting dishes. The psychology of packaging: bright red labels signal freshness. Italian flags suggest authenticity. Words like fine ripened imply quality. But marketing language can be vague. Always read the small print. Inflation and shrinkflation in 2026. Another issue emerging in 2026 is shrinkflation. Slightly smaller tin sizes, higher liquid content, same price. Always check weight and drained weight. When budget brands are actually fine. To be fair, not all affordable brands are poor. Some supermarket own label ranges offer good ripeness, minimal additives, strong consistency. The key is identifying which ones are reliable. How supermarkets influence tomato quality. Major UK supermarkets such as Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, and Morrisons operate multiple pricing tiers: ultra-budget, standard, own brand, premium or finest ranges. While premium ranges often receive stricter sourcing standards, the lower tiers may prioritize cost efficiency above all else. That doesn't automatically mean bad, but it does mean compromises can occur: mixed tomato grades, higher juice-to-flesh ratios, shorter ripening windows. Supermarkets negotiate heavily with suppliers. When margins tighten, something has to give, and sometimes that something is flavor. The supply chain reality: many UK tin tomatoes are imported from southern Italy, Spain, Portugal, Turkey. Climate conditions matter enormously. Tomatoes grown in volcanic soil regions tend to be sweeter and richer. However, when harvest yields drop due to weather conditions, suppliers may blend crops from different regions to maintain volume. This blending can cause flavor inconsistency. A brand that tasted rich in 2024 may taste noticeably flatter in 2026, not because it's unsafe, but because sourcing changed. The hidden cost of early harvesting to meet large-scale demand: Some suppliers harvest tomatoes slightly underripe. Why? Easier transport, reduced spoilage risk, faster production timelines, but underripe tomatoes contain higher natural acidity, lower sugar content, less developed flavor compounds. This results in tins that require added sugar or longer cooking times to taste balanced. Why some sauces turn orange instead of deep red? Have you ever cooked a sauce that looked pale or slightly orange rather than rich crimson? Possible reasons: tomatoes with lower lycopene levels, higher water content, poor ripening conditions. High-quality tomatoes contain concentrated natural pigments. When quality drops, color intensity drops too. Color is often your first visual clue. The texture test: what you should notice when you crush whole tin tomatoes with a spoon: they should break down smoothly, release thick juice, feel dense, not grainy. Low-quality tins often feel fibrous, overly soft, fragmented into mush. Texture problems are especially obvious in dishes like lasagna or shakshuka, where tomato body matters.